I, 24 male, and my wife, 24, recently had our daughter in July. She's the best thing to ever happen to my wife and I, and we couldn't be more thrilled to have our little bundle of joy. She recently got sick while staying with her grandparents, my in-laws, while my wife and I took a trip for work. For context, my in-laws are really big into stem cell stickers. It's some patch that supposedly helps regrow stem cells by reflecting light rays back into your body, allowing your body to produce more stem cells to fight off diseases and sickness. If you ask me, it sounds like snake oil, and my wife agrees, calling it a pyramid scheme. The only way to get said patches is by spending well over $1,000, and then you're tasked with selling the patches yourself. It's essentially some multi-level marketing product where the more patches you sell, the more money you make. Falling right in line with my wife's comparison to a pyramid scheme, but MLMs are somehow legal. Now, I've tried researching it, and the only comments I've seen praise said product are brand new accounts never used before or after, or their entire profile is dedicated to shilling out for the brand. In my research, they appear just to be overpriced stickers. They contain no medication, special UV rays or anything. They're just an overpriced sticker with an air bubble. But my wife and I have made it very clear that we wanted no part in it, nor do we want our daughter to have it. Even if it's fake, we wanted no part in it, and on the off chance it did something, I didn't want our daughter to be used as their lab rat or guinea pig. Now, before we left our daughter with my in-laws, we provided them with some infant medication, just in case she got sick. Can never be too safe, you know. Well, we returned home from the work trip early because our daughter wasn't getting any better, so we picked her up and went home. We were going to bath her, and while removing her jacket, we found the stem cell patch on her arm. Upon finding it, we immediately called her parents and demanded to know why she had a patch on her. Her parents tried saying, "It's safe for babies. We even ordered the ones for ages 7 and younger, and that it's practically medication." Their words, which still didn't answer our question. So my wife checked the go bag and the Motrin we gave them. While it was used some, it was a little. Her parents tried claiming that someone else in their group or whatever gave it to their son and they got better in a week. The point is, we didn't buy it, nor did we care. We've made it abundantly clear that we wanted nothing to do with that BS, and we didn't want our daughter to be a part of it. They failed to listen. My wife was on the phone with them for over an hour, and while I don't know the exact length of the conversation went to, I know it at least ended with her screaming, "You're not going to see my daughter again, and if you attempt to come to my house, we will call the police," before hanging up. That was 3 days ago now, and we've had several missed calls from family members, her parents, her siblings, and even family friends, all saying that we overreacted and that they were just trying to help. Maybe we overreacted, but we wanted nothing to do with that, and despite making it clear, they went against our wishes and did it anyway. And instead of giving my daughter actual medication, they tried to give her some placebo patches. Her parents tried claiming that we're stopping them from seeing their only grandchild over something so small, but we didn't want to hear it. Am I the idiot for banning my in-laws? Not the idiot. They will never see your child without supervision again. The problem is not the patch on itself, while it's still totally BS. The problem is that your daughter was sick, and rather than following your instructions on how to take care of her, they chose to use their own BS method. They reject your parental authority unfairly, break your trust, and are now surprised there's a consequence. They're the same kind of grandparents who told of nut allergies but still give peanut butter to their grandchild because it's not that serious, and get all surprised Pikachu face when parents need to go to the ER because of allergy reaction after the visit. Her parents tried claiming that someone else in their group or whatever gave it to their son and they got better in a week. You mean a kid recovered from a cold in a normal time frame? Colour me shocked. Say it with me, people. Correlation doesn't equal causation. In-laws are complete idiots who cannot be trusted with your child. I disagree with downgrading this to, it's probably just a sticker. My daughter is allergic to the adhesive in bandages. A freaking Band-Aid gives my kid skin rashes. The patch may be a placebo, maybe it has some weird plant from the rainforest. Perhaps it's a coloured sticker that can cause an allergic reaction. You don't know, and the infant isn't the person to test this out on. And screw the people claiming you overreacted. You set a reasonable boundary and they broke it. It's as simple as that. I'm a 25-year-old female. My dog, Dove, had puppies. She's a golden lab. I promised my nephew Dion, tween, that he could have one of the puppies when they were ready. He was so excited. So last week when Dion and my sister came over, he asked if he could see the puppies, to which I said yes. He went in to see them. My sister and I were catching up. Then we heard Dove barking, alerting me to check on Dion and Dove. Dion was standing in the corner with his hands behind his back. We could hear the puppy's muffled cries, and I pulled him forward and found that he had put the puppy in a plastic bag. I told him off and asked him what he was doing. He started crying and said he wanted the puppy now and that he was taking this one home. I told him, no, you already know they're too young and need their mother's milk. Dion had a tantrum. My sister had to take him home. Dove was understandably agitated and was now wary of who came near her pups. I decided over a couple of days that I didn't trust Dion to have one of them. So, when my sister came to visit, I told her I didn't want to give Dion one of the pups after what he did. She got upset with me and said it was a mistake and he'd learned his lesson. I said he didn't even apologize. She said, what for? The puppy was fine. I got angry then and said, what if Dove hadn't alerted us? The puppy could have died. She said I would break his heart if I went back on my promise. I said, I'm sorry, but that's my final decision. She left angry. I've since been getting people on my back about breaking my promise and that I'm a liar. I even got a video message of Dion crying and calling me names from Sis. I'm starting to feel bad. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Dion doesn't realize the puppy is a living being, not a toy. And his mother's reaction, trying to guilt you, sending you a message of a crying Dion and so on, shows that she wouldn't stand up if Dion treated the puppy poorly. You can give him a toy dog, but not the living puppies. Exactly. If the sister can say, what's the big deal, to her son almost killing a puppy, she is not fit to be a dog owner either, let alone just supervising a kid as a dog owner. Kids can be idiots, but if you cannot rely on the parents to care about the puppy, that is not a safe home. I even got a video message of Dion crying and calling me names. A tween insults you and they proudly send it to you. I'm actually not surprised how the nephew behaves with such an upbringing. Theft and bad behavior without consequences, and you who react correctly are still to blame. If that's acceptable to them, what else is acceptable? This blew my mind. What absolutely horrific parenting. My younger sister, 20, told me recently that she's pregnant with her boyfriend's nearly adult baby. My initial reaction was pure shock. I then called my mother and asked what she thought. She and I agreed that my little sister was not the most responsible, and we both morally decided that the situation was screwed up. I don't think the rest of my family is taking the situation as seriously as it should be, nor do I think they've thought of all the outcomes that could come out of this. I have realized that I cannot support her in this decision and pregnancy. Does that make me a bad person? I don't see how I can support this, with baby daddy being a high school student and my sister just getting a full-time job as a high school dropout. I don't believe that my sister is ready for children, and I don't believe that the baby daddy wants to be a father at this time. She just turned 20 in September, and they met at her old job. They've known each other for less than a year and refused to use protection. His parents are unaware of the pregnancy at this time, and my parents don't feel it's their responsibility to tell his parents. The police have already been involved in the relationship in the past. Before the pregnancy announcement, my sister lied and told them they weren't together. I believe legal action will be taken eventually if the police find out and if the baby daddy's parents find out as well. Am I the idiot for not supporting my sister's pregnancy with the circumstances surrounding that? It gives me the feeling that your parents rug sweep a lot when it comes to your younger sister. It's a shame that enabling just messed her up for life. I tell the boy's parents and distance myself from the whole thing. Just know that your family might blame you for it. I try to be as anonymous as possible about this. Agree. His parents need to know. Now. Regardless, he is a kid. Your sister will most likely name him as the dad. His parents will be responsible for child support. Please don't let this blindside them. Your family, especially your sister, is delusional. My brother has 2 stepkids, tween and pre-tween, that are absolute brats. He's infatuated with their mother though, so he won't discipline them. It's fine because we don't see them much. Over the holidays, he came over with his family and the kids were horrible. My daughter, tween, and my son, younger tween, wanted nothing to do with them. I allowed them to go to their rooms and locked the doors to keep the peace. My brother and his wife started complaining because my kids were being bad hosts. I said that I wouldn't make my children unhappy to appease his. Eventually, my kids came out to try and play together again. His kids started pushing my son around. He told them to stop, but they wouldn't. My daughter told them to stop bugging her brother, but they wouldn't. They came to us and told us what was going on. My brother called them tattletales and told them to just go play and deal with it themselves. I asked him if that's what he wanted. He said yes, let kids be kids. I took him to my daughter's room and pointed out that she had multiple belts and trophies from martial arts. Then I showed him my son's room, which was the same thing. Then I returned to the living room and told my kids, in front of him and his wife, that they had my permission to defend themselves. He immediately called his kids over and told them to behave. Their mom wasn't pleased. She said her kids were just having fun. I said my kids' idea of fun was probably a little more violent than hers. Long story short, they behaved for about 10 minutes and then decided to test my kids. One black eye and an arm bar later, his kids are sitting on the couch while my brother and his wife yell at me for raising brutes. For the record, each of his kids, although younger, is bigger than my daughter, and they'd had multiple warnings to play nice. So currently there's a huge family fight because I let my kids beat up his innocent angels. Unfortunately for him, most of the people who've met his kids are asking what they did to provoke mine. My mom says I shouldn't have told my kids to defend themselves. I told her she was welcome to host any and all gatherings involving those brats. The last time they were there, they destroyed a stuffed animal that had the cremains of her last dog. She doesn't like having them in her house either. Am I the idiot? My children will not be bullied and tormented in their own homes. If you can't manage your children's behavior, then my children will. After all, kids will be kids, right? You are not the idiot. These are the natural consequences. Kudos on empowering your kids with martial arts. My mom says that I shouldn't have told my kids to defend themselves. What kind of stupid crap is this? Instead of defending the kids being bullied and laying into your brother, she wants to encourage the bad behavior further. I wouldn't trust anyone around my kids defending the stepkids' behavior, and I'd make that known. Some people are so determined to keep the peace in the short term and avoid hard confrontations that they willfully blind themselves to problems that will cause long-term damage. It's easier for the mom to ignore the stepkid's bratty behavior and pressure other family members to do the same than have a hard discussion with her son about his and his wife's parenting, risking her relationship with said son in the process. You're right, pet brother is the golden child. I always told my now grown children that they would never be the instigator, but if someone else started things, feel free to finish. Your brother's kids have had a hard but needed lesson in screw around, find out. Well done. And keep telling any flying monkeys that they can host your brother and sister-in-law and their brood next time. So my dad has been married to my stepmom for 10 years. My stepsister and I are both teen females. Even though my dad has been married to her mom for 10 years, my stepsister and I don't really know each other. Her dad works for some big international company and she lived in Asia from when she was 3 until she was 9, then in Europe until she was 13, then lived in South America until September. Now they're in the US until the summer, and then they're returning to Asia. They're staying a few minutes from my dad and stepmom, and she's been spending weekends with us. Now that she's here on weekends, my dad and stepmom put another bed in my room and said I must share until they move again. She goes to this $75,000 a year international school by my school and drives a brand new Tesla. I go to public school and take the bus. I told her she should drive me to school because her school is next to mine and the bus sucks. She said no. I told her to be a good sister and help me out, and she said she wasn't my sister. Since she won't help me and says she's not my sister, I won't share a room with her. I left her stuff outside the room and took the spare keys so they couldn't let her in, and I told her I'd share my room when she shared her car. Now her dad won't let her come here and says her mom has to go to their house to see her. They might also go back to Asia early because the whole point of them staying here for a year was for her to get to know her mom. She visits for a couple of weeks a year, but it's different, and that's not going to happen if she doesn't have a room at the house. They're saying that they get why I did it, but I need to deal with her until she returns to Asia. Am I the idiot for telling her I'll share my room when she shares her car? Not the idiot. Losing your personal space is a big thing, and it doesn't sound as if you were asked before but told. If people think you're rude for telling her to drive you, so is she for not being a gracious guest and helping you. She didn't ask to share the room, it was decided for her too. OP, you are the idiot. If you flat out tell her she should drive you to school, that's not asking. That's not being polite. You used the "we're sisters" line only when it was convenient for you but had no real sincerity, since you can't handle a negative factor of being siblings like sharing a room. So I could understand her response. As an aside, it's weird how your parents let you run their house. Your stepmom is the only one who gets a bad hand dealt here. If you waited a few weeks and asked her or brought it up with your stepmom and had a conversation about it, then I'd say differently. The reality is it's not your house and your parents can put your stepsister in your room if they want. It's not abusive, evil, or an inconvenience for a little while and that's it. I'm really surprised at some of the entitlement here, LOL. Nope, it's not her house, but it is her bedroom. There's nothing wrong with the parents giving up their bedroom and sleeping on a nice pull-out sofa if they want a stepsister there so bad. It's not a tantrum not to want a virtual stranger in your personal space. The bedroom is the one place you should have to yourself and only share if you wish, especially as a teen. And what about the entitled brat sister who won't give her a lift to school? Why would she not? Honey, it sucks for your stepmom, but I think her daughter was looking for a way to go back to her usual and she gave her one that she took. Gladly.